And a pleasant good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Thursday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and it is a good thing it's Thursday because it's Thirsty Thursday, and Lord knows the 2018 Mets certainly make us want to drink and or need to drink. Last night was no exception. The Mets miraculously dropped the rubber game of a series. I know it's a surprise, but they did. And in true Mets fashion, they did so embarrassingly and with an inability to perform at even the most modest levels of how a major league team should perform. What else is going on? Well, a couple of things have happened since the last video I recorded. I want to chat about them a little bit today and delve into what the hell the rest of this summer is going to be like for us as Mets fans. As I have mentioned before on these videos, I try to be positive. I always try to be positive. I always try to find the positive sign, the positive thing, whatever. And not just as a Mets fan, but just in general. And there's just nothing positive going on right now with this team. And that's not even true, actually, because Zack Wheeler last night pitched brilliantly. He pitched 7 brilliant innings of shutout baseball, and he has 0 wins to show for it. I believe it was his 12th consecutive decision or non-win, I guess, at Citi Field. And, you know, those numbers are staggering just in general, because you got to figure in one of those 12 cases, the offense or the bullpen or someone else is going to pick you up and get you a decision. But nope, not for Zach and not for the Mets. So Zack Wheeler adds his name to a long list of pitchers who should be disappointed with how things are going with this team. It's now to the point where I'm actively seeking out off days, which today is, and I'm like relieved that I don't have to watch the Mets tonight. And that's not what it's supposed to be like as a fan of a team. The Mets clearly had this series in the bag after last night's game through 8 innings, 7 innings. 8th inning, Gazelman didn't have it, whatever. But this is the Mets game to win. And I don't know if it was the back-to-back performance, you know, coming in 2 nights in a row after throwing 20-some pitches the night before or what, but our closer has to do his job. And Jeurys Familia, who is one of probably the only really attractive free agent rental player that the Mets have, probably he and Asdrubal Cabrera, though Cabrera less valuable because you know, he's not a sexy name. He's having a good year, but Familia has closing experience in the postseason. He's got value, and every chance he gets, it seems he's doing whatever he can to piss all over that value and say, you know what, I want to finish my free agent, my year before free agent campaign with the Mets. I want to end the year here and blow 19 saves. Speaking of blowing saves, and I don't remember the numbers, and I'm sorry, but there were some staggering stats last night that I read on Twitter, and I think Gary and Ron talked about them as well during the broadcast. But something like the Mets now lead the majors with 5 losses heading into the 9th inning with a lead, and they also have like 16 losses after leading. With a lead after 7 innings or something like that. I might be getting those numbers wrong, but they are staggering numbers. And you look at that 16 number, and if it's right, maybe it's 15, whatever. The Mets currently sit at 14 games under 500. And you take those 16 games that this horse shit, dumpster fire, garbage can of a bullpen has blown this season. And it isn't on one guy's shoulders either, because this blame goes all across the board, from the best guys out there to the worst. Every single one of them has had a hand in this dreadful, dreadful season. But you take those 16 losses, you make 14 of them wins. We're at 500 or really, really close to it. So again, the Mets are off, and I don't care. I don't care that they lost the series to the Pirates. I'm at the point now where I've stopped caring about what this team does on the field. I'm still gonna watch because I'm stupid, but I'm still gonna watch. But more importantly, one of the things I missed this week, in addition to not recording a video yesterday when the Mets had their 5th win of the month of June, but one of the other things and a more serious thing that I missed during the week and my lack of videos was Sandy Alderson's announcement before Tuesday's game. As we now all know, Sandy Alderson has had a recurrence of his cancer, and that's an unfortunate thing. But I'm curious as to what the hell's happening here. I'm just going through a traffic stop, and some car decided to pull off to the right side of the road instead of going around it. Anyway, so as I was saying, Sandy Alderson's cancer is back, and Mets Twitter and Mets fans, and in general, you can say what you want about Sandy Alderson. He doesn't deserve this to happen to him. He's had a really dreadful, probably his worst offseason as general manager of the Mets going into this year. And the blame doesn't rest solely on his shoulders. And he's got a team around him of guys who are making recommendations and telling Sandy, this is what I think we ought to do. And as we know, and if you've read the Good Fundies post that will take 3 hours and 17 minutes to read, but it's worth it. The Wilpons have their hand in everything that happens with this team and with this franchise. So, in any event, Sandy Alderson has stepped down as general manager. I don't know that it's like an official step down, but he's not going to be involved in the day-to-day operations, and that responsibility will be divvied up across the shoulders of John Ricco, Omar Minaya, and J.P. Ricciardi. I've always liked the way Sandy has that very Bill Belichick cards close to the vest. I'm not going to tell you anything kind of mindset when he's interviewed and asked questions that he just doesn't want to answer. And Sandy's a far more articulate than Belichick. Sandy says a ton of words and really says nothing in the process, whereas Belichick's just like, no, I'm not answering that. But Sandy will beat around the bush and give some eloquent answer and not answer the question. Like, are the Mets buyers or sellers? And that was sort of a big question over the last month. And, I mean, when I'm on board with selling, that the Mets have to be sellers. Last year, up until like the middle of August, all right, I was like, they're going to get back into this. I know it. They're too good not to. So I'm at that point now. We're not even at July 1st yet, and I'm at the point now where I do believe strongly that this team should be sellers, and apparently John Ricco does as well. And I think that's been the plan all along. But again, I don't think Sandy likes to say stuff like that. He likes to play his cards close to his vest. But Ricco made the announcement yesterday, I believe, where he said, yeah, you know what, we're sellers, and we're going to listen to any offer that you want to make us for any player. Basically, no one's untouchable. And I think that's lip service as well. I do believe there are some players on the team that are going to be untouchable. But at the same time, if you get a knock your socks off offer from some team for Jacob deGrom, I don't even want to think about it, but you got to consider it at this point, because the Mets need to the Mets need to revamp this entire franchise right now. And anybody who can bring back a good amount of value that will help now and in the future, I think has to be considered. Just at least considered, not an absolute no. Okay, that's all I mean by that when I say that no one should be untouchable. And I'm not saying that we should trade deGrom or Syndergaard. I'm just saying we should listen if teams are asking about it. So the bottom line with the Sandy Alderson thing, I just want to make a comment about this. I was talking to my friend Mike Stauffer the other night, texting with him actually, and we were talking about Sandy, and I read the book. I read Sandy's book, the Baseball Maverick book, and I suggested to Mike that maybe having read that book made me a little more defensive of him, because I have so much respect for what the man has done in his life, and all that he's been through, and all that he's accomplished, both in baseball and outside of baseball, that I think that might have, and might still continue to, skew my judgment on being really super critical of Sandy Alderson. I do blame him for a lot of the moves that have been made. Not exclusively, but I do blame him. And look, he said it in his press conference the other day with smarmy ass Jeff Wilpon sitting right next to him. I should probably not come back on merit, because we signed 6 free agents and they're all crap. I mean, he paraphrasing, of course, but that's sort of what he said. And I respect the fact that he's owning up to the fact that he made some really poor decisions this offseason. He didn't hide behind anything. He didn't throw the owners under the bus. He didn't throw the team under the bus. He's not throwing his manager under the bus. He admitted that they made mistakes, and I respect the hell out of that. And I do not know who the right person to lead this ship should be going forward. A part of me thinks give the keys back to Omar Minaya, because of how much fun 2006, 2007, and 2008, notwithstanding the last 2 weeks of both of those latter 2 seasons, how much fun those seasons were, and how good the Mets were, and what a nice mix of veterans and young players that team had. That 06, 07, 08 team, that core team there, the Beltran, Delgado, Wright, Reyes years, with those 4 just at their absolute peak, just dynamite players, perennial all-stars. They were missing the pitching staff that this franchise has right now. If somehow you could have done like a merge of those two pieces, and merged the 2015, 2016, 2017 pitching staffs, injuries notwithstanding, but you could have merged those pitching staffs with the team that the Mets had on the field in 06, 07, 08. My God, I mean, that just could have been a whole lot of fun. And in any event, I'm for that reason, I'm thinking maybe we should let Omar have another shot. But right now it looks like Omar is going to be focusing a lot of his attention on the international free agent markets, which I think has been desperately lacking in Sandy Alderson's regime. So that's nice to see and hear about. I really do hope that whoever takes over is able to do and make some fundamental changes in the way that this team has evaluated everything. And again, if you read the Good Fundies piece, a lot of it is lip service right now, because it seems to be that all of this mismanagement has nothing to do with the managers, whether in the dugout or in the front office, and has everything to do with the Wilpons. So, a new blood injection would be nice, but until we see some changes from Fred, and more importantly from Jeff, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. So I've never been on the sell the team bandwagon, but I guess at the end of the day, what I'm saying here is I think it's time for the Wilpons to sell the team. I'm on it. I'm on the bandwagon. So positive news today, folks. The Mets cannot lose tonight, and that is always a good thing. So I'm going to go with that heading into the weekend. I could give a shit what happens with the Marlins coming in, the Mets playing the Marlins rather, other than the fact that DeGrom pitches on Friday, which will be fun. The bad part there is that DeGrom and the Mets are facing off against the rookie pitcher for the Marlins, and you know how the Mets do with rookie pitchers. I mean, no problem. They don't make any rookie pitchers that you've never seen before look like Cy Young, so should be no worries at all on Friday when the Mets get blanked. # no hitter alert. That'll wrap it up for today. Sorry I rambled on a bit. I will not be back tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday with recap of the weekend set, and see if it's possible that the Mets can actually win a series. We'll see. Until then, thanks for watching. Appreciate it as always, and let's go Mets.